Should be live. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the live stream. It is 12:22. Not too bad. I said around noon. We have our new wireless mic, which seems like it's working pretty well. So that should be good. My wife Nicole is here with me, and our dog Sadie, and my daughter Corinne is inside and running around. So you guys might see her come out. And Devin's behind the camera. So let me just pull up the live stream on my computer so I can see your comments and things.
Yes, you might want to give another introduction.
Okay. Live now.
7 people.
Okay. Dang, 7 people already. Hi. Hey, everybody. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us today. Let's see. Let's turn this down. Okay. 14 people watching. Matthias Anen. Hello from Germany. Sybil Troll. Hello. Thank you. I am doing well. Thank you. Hope you guys are all safe out there and well. We are obviously doing some more live streams now that we're kind of stuck at home a little more often. Not that it makes a difference, though. We still work here anyway and shoot in the shop, but it's fun to do some live streams and kind of have a community, and interact with you guys off and on. Here comes my daughter. Hello from Turkey. Nice setup. Thank you. Hello from Iceland. Wow, we got people from all over. Sean from SA. Sean, what's that?
Ask how the audio sounds.
How do I sound, guys? We're checking out the new mic. I have my little pom-pom on my vest now. It's a little chilly out today. Hopefully we'll get some sun off and on. I can see some blue sky kind of coming through, but it's a little bit patchy. It was raining this morning, so I don't have, usually I'll start a fire with like twigs and kindling and leaves, a little bit of paper, but I'm gonna use paper today just to get everything going. So we're gonna build up the fire and then we're gonna cook a stew. So I have everything prepped. I have carrots and onions, regular potatoes, sweet potatoes, chicken, and mushrooms. And I'll be using vegetable broth to start off with for the stew, and then if I need more, I'll add more water. I think I have everything out here.
Okay, it sounds much better.
Oh, good.
Elizabeth Mosley says, what are you knitting?
It's a secret.
She's knitting a secret. She could tell you, she'd have to kill you.
And killing your mother is frowned upon.
I don't know how well they can hear you guys because I have the mic on me, but if there's something specific, I can always hand you the mic. People are asking stuff. So let me see. Let me get a few more bits of kindling. Let's see if we can get that started. Hopefully that should be enough. I'm going to try to start this up. It's a little breezy today, but not too bad, so hopefully we won't have to move out of the way of the smoke. So obviously, guys, if you have questions or comments, I won't be next to my computer all that often, but I will be checking it pretty regularly. So Devin will be reading some from behind the camera. If there's any specific questions.
Nicole knitting Odie's birthday present.
No. She is not knitting Odie's birthday present. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on her. Well, that failed. Let's see if I can get some more. All that paper burned very quickly. Let's try again. Let's see if I can get that.
Derek says, hey.
Hey, Derek. Everybody say hi to my brother, Derek. He's here. Good to hear from you. We'll see if we can get this started. Like I said, everything's a little bit wet today because rain last night.
What's the stew besides vegetables?
Chicken. It's going to be chicken. We have 4 chicken thighs cut up, 1 sweet potato, 4 regular potatoes, maybe 8 or 9 mushrooms, 1 whole onion, and about 6 or 7 carrots. Let's see if we can get this going. I might have to get some more paper.
Sean says, where's the beer?
Sean, beer's inside. We'll get there. Believe me. What's that?
So if you go in there, it's done.
Yeah, I wasn't going far. Yeah, I mean, I knew they'd still be able to hear me. Yeah, hello, Cyber Troll. Show how do you sharpen your knife with a whetstone. I can, but not today. What's that? Oh, a slug. A slug, baby. No shell hurry. Let's see. Are we going yet? We might be close.
Making 9.
I told you. It's not an ideal situation. It rained last night. So, trying to build the fire up with minimal. Like I said, what I'd normally do is I would kind of build a small base layer of twigs, kindling, and then use some leaves, and then another layer of kindling. But my base is kind of wet, and all the leaves around here are wet. So I'm using paper, which is fine. But it's just, it burns a lot quicker, and I can't control it as well. So we can get some air in here. We're smoking. We're smoking. I'll let that go. Courtney, you want to go find us some small kindling? Small kindling.
So, like, that branch.
Yeah, that branch, it might come apart. It might be a little too wet. Let's see. Saludos, amigo. Welcome. Finders, keepers, and all serious to make those lives look easy. Thank you. I appreciate it. I guess that ease of creation comes with time and also with editing. So we make them look easy. They're not easy, but we do our best. I try not to edit out all the mistakes and things and the trials and tribulations along the way, but some of that is just, it is what it is. I can only do so much and show so much on camera. So a lot of times we'll edit out, obviously hours of work down to 45 minutes. All right, you can go put that on. It's right on top. And then we want to break up these sticks here too. Now these are a little bit bigger, so we're going to break these up. Start kind of stacking these. Now we have our sticks have caught, so we should be good.
Cyber Troll says, what made you get into forging? When did you start?
Well, I just getting into knife making in general. I think it was once I started to do heat treating with knives, I needed some type of heat source to be able to heat up my knives to critical temperature to be able to harden them. And so I built a little forge out of a wok. So I had a regular kitchen wok. I drilled some holes in the bottom of it. I buried it halfway in the ground, and then I ran a metal pipe underground to it and hooked it to a hairdryer. And that worked really well as a little outdoor forge, and I was able to heat up the steel and get everything hot. And just doing that, just building a little forge like that was really what got me, I think, the most interested. I mean, I've also always been interested in some type of blacksmithing or forging. It's just fun. There's nothing like heating up steel and moving it around, hot steel. There's something like primal and, I don't know, really nice about just creating your own tools that way. So that's kind of what really got me into it, was just the idea that I wanted to make knives. I wanted to make a knife for myself for backpacking. And so I wanted a good knife for backpacking, I should say. And so I was looking around for knives to purchase, and I wanted a fixed blade And then just started, you know, even by that point, I was already kind of a maker. This is when I was in college. And so I decided to try to make my own. Looked up a few different DIY things. Woo! And yeah, and figured out that I could make a knife out of a circular saw blade, which is what our video is. We have the video on making a knife out of a circular saw blade. That was the first knife that I made and the first way I made it. So after that, it was the rest is history. All metalwork came from that, from wanting something that I didn't want to buy, which is pretty much why I make most of this stuff, is because I figure I can make it instead of having to buy it. Pity it's not a sunny day. Hey, Miguel. Miguel's here from Spain. Philadelphia Piper, good afternoon. Love the blue hair. Ah, Chris Pop Rocky.
Yeah.
P-Rock. Can most metal be made into a knife? Most metal, as long as it's carbon steel. If you have like anything that's a tool steel, any like, you know, you can make a lot of things into a knife as long as it has a carbon steel that can be hardened. Anything else, if you use, you know, a piece of steel that's not hardened, that's mild steel, then that would obviously, it would look like a knife, but it wouldn't hold an edge. So it has to be a hardenable steel. Whoa. All right. Jack Lore, yes. I really like Jack Lore. I've watched and been following him for quite a while. He does really beautiful knives. I did a Woodlore clone knife. And I think that's kind of what the base of what he makes are kind of those Woodlore, Ray Mears kind of Woodlore style Jack Lore. I really do like his knives. He does really great work. And yeah, he seems like a good dude too. It's just him in his house. I follow him on Instagram as well. So anybody else knows Jack Lore or follows Jack Lore, his wife just got out of the hospital. So hopefully she's doing well back home. But yes, Jack Lore knives are really nice. He does a good job. I've learned a bunch of stuff from his videos too. I've watched a bunch of his knife making videos as well as his leather videos. He does really nice stuff with leather as well. Makes all of his own leather sheaths. So I've learned a lot from Jack Lore. And now we all left the camera. No one's in the screen. I'm just going to split up a few more pieces into a little bit smaller pieces so I can get this burning well. We got to put these two on.
This wind is going to burn through the wood real fast.
Well, that's okay. As long as it keeps going. Everything's a little bit wet because it was raining. That was a good shot. All right. Now we're talking. Let's see if I can split that. Yeah, nice. There, there. TP. Soon. Now that we have the main. Yeah. Ooh, ah. That was soft. Knitting. My wife is knitting something for a friend of ours for a baby that they're having. So
And they might be watching. So
it's a surprise. They might be watching. So, but you can talk about maybe what it looks like. Yes.
yes. I can say it's a cardigan.
Cardigan.
Baby cardigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
A baby cardigan. Here you go. And she's knitting. My wife is a knitter, an avid knitter. As much as I make stuff in the shop, she knits. Oh yeah, she knit her sweater she's wearing. There we go. Let's see, maybe I'll split this one more time. There. Okay, so now that we have the fire started and going, we're gonna go ahead and bring the tripod over, get that set up.
Tripod TV.
So I have a tripod that I made. And this is just obviously three long sticks that are connected maybe about 7 feet up right now. Connected with paracord at the top. And then I have a metal carabiner hanging from a metal wire. And I have, let's see, I have a little, on this one stick, I have notches in the stick going up that let me move the, they let me move the pot up and down. So you can see here, here's my first notch, and I can move it up to another notch. So that moved it up, you know. Whoa, smoky. Get that fire going. Yeah, so it just allows me to move it up and down some. I can move it all the way up to the top notch, which then brings it up maybe about 5 or 6 inches in total. So it's only moving it a little bit, but I can kind of move it up and down some just to kind of be able to access a little bit better and move it up off the heat some if I need to. All right, so first thing I have is about 2 tablespoons of butter that I'm gonna get into the pot, let this fire burn up a little bit more, and then we'll get going. Yeah, let's see what we got. Nice Medium Multimedia. Hello from Cape Town, South Africa. Wow, welcome. Sean Nod says, I'm building a Yarkover there. Pigs will fire and yank. Pigs will fire and yank. It refers to how pigs' wills used to look after being newly built in the old days. Now, my wife now wants a fire pit in the garden. She's got 2 old axes, very rusty. Nice. There's a lot of great ways you can treat rusty axes. I mean, the very minimum, you can just spray them down with WD-40, hit them with some, some steel wool or something like that that can clean it off, or some sandpaper. But if you have a wire wheel on a grinder, that's what I use probably 99% of the time. I've done, back when I very first started doing axes, I put an axe in some vinegar to remove the rust and stuff off of it, which is not ideal, but I knew I was going to kind of clean off the whole thing, and I was going to do a mirror polish. So, but I would recommend, if you're going to do some type of chemical rust remover, use like Evaporust or Metal Rescue. There's a bunch of different companies that'll do like a rust remover. You can do that and kind of just rest them in there overnight, and it'll take off all the rust. But a lot of times I like, that removes a lot of patina too. The like Evaporust and Metal Rescue, they don't remove the patina so much. They're a little bit better, but anything with like vinegar is going to remove whatever patina has happened on your blades over time. Let's see. The Plain Truth, Travis. Hey Travis, how's it going? Travis was my youth group leader back when we were in church when I was younger, in high school. Good to see you.
Sadie, come here. I want to see you.
Hi, Derek and Devin.
Come on, Sadie.
Devin says hi. All right, so it looks like it's going pretty good. We'll let it cook a little bit more, and I think we can, let's see what we got. Good heat here, that's gonna hold. I think that's pretty good. Temperature is, I don't know, it's probably upper 50s, low 60s, something like that. I'll check it, hold on. Ooh, a little colder than I thought. Real feel. It says 51 and cloudy. That's down in Baltimore. Let's see. Oh, 50 and cloudy. It's pretty chilly. It's not bad. I'm okay.
Throwing something else.
Oh, yeah. All right. So let's see. Maybe I'll grab a couple little chunks of wood that I have. Smaller stuff just to get a good base. Yes. Let's see. You all right? Watch that smoke.
Your tripod just green limb.
It is just green limbs. That's actually, what is it, Nicole?
What?
What's this?
Where did you get it from? Oh, it's what's that hedge made out of? I don't know. It's like privet or something.
Privet. It's privet. It's from a privet hedge that we have right here next to the house. It just kind of blocks the little driveway thing from our main house. It's kind of annoying. Grows a lot. We have to trim it back all the time, but it does grow nice long straight limbs, which we use mostly for marshmallow sticks most of the time because it's right there and it really works really well.
Gary Harrison says, drinking beer by the fire tonight because of you.
Nice. Heck yeah, I need a beer.
What time is it?
It is 15 minutes until the time that I need a beer. Snowing in Vermont, is that what Nana says?
Yeah.
Snowing in Vermont. Well, a couple more degrees lower, we could have it a little less. 48 here in Windsor, Ontario. That's not bad. Almost the same. Relearning traditional skills. It's cold as hell. It's around 64 degrees. Now it's almost 1900. 876, 6 o'clock. Sean. All right, so let's get the pot on the fire. Get some butter in there. All right. This is a, let's see. This is USA D3.
Is it on Lodge?
Nope, not Lodge. 300. USA D3 300. So it actually doesn't have a logo on it. Nope. I don't know where we got this one.
It's not a logo thing.
It's a no-name cast iron pot.
Exactly.
USA made D3 300. All right. So again, I have 2 tablespoons of butter here that I'm going to get in here and get them onions in first. And let them saute up a little bit. Let's see. You can. Just a minute.
Butter.
Get that in. Australia, hello.
2 a.m. and rain.
Oh, 2:42 a.m. and raining. Wow.
He has a little beer emoji, so there you go.
2:42. That's some dedication right there. Dedication to the art of craftsmanship community. So, I'm going to stay up till 2:40 and watch Dustin make a stew. All right, let's bring this.
It's just up and
Maybe it's just up. Yeah, what time do the bars close in Australia? There you go. That'll tell you why. He's like,
yeah, they're all closed.
Yeah. They're all
oh, right. It's the world, not just the USA. Germany, love your channel. Axel B. Punk. Be punked. Axel, great to see you again, man. I remember you from last time. Gary Boucher.
I don't like I don't like smoke. I don't like smoke.
Borchert.
Oh, never mind.
I know.
Sorry.
I know how to speak French-ish.
Ish.
I know how to pronounce French words. Did you have to replace or reinforce the metal pan in your fry pit? Mine rusted out. Yes. Yeah, it's really bad. It's actually rusted. There's like a nice layer of coals that is keeping everything from falling through. It's actually one of my to-do list for welding. Learning how to weld is making some type of reinforcement for this fire pit or making another fire pit. So hopefully I'll be able to do that in the near future. I have some scrap steel from an old wood stove that is broken and rusted out in some parts. So thinking about taking that apart, maybe cutting it apart and re-welding it into some type of bigger fire pit. Maybe deeper fire pit, put some holes in the bottom so that way all the water goes through. You all right?
My eyes hurt. Ah,
So,
Get everything
I
in
stay
there.
loyal to the butter.
okay.
I
We
stay
can do it as you're
loyal.
dropping stuff in.
Let's put this down one more. So here you can see there's like shows how I can move that pot up and down.
I'm from UK, watching with you when I should be working.
Yeah. Watching when I should be working.
Right, legs are hot from all the standing in the fire. It's actually kind of nice.
Elizabeth Mosley asks, did I make the wooden spoon? I didn't, but I have a really cool story about this wooden spoon. So when I was in grad school, I went to University of New Hampshire for grad school for fine art, get my master's in painting. Our program had a summer abroad, which was for 5 weeks in the summer between my first and second year of grad school. And we went to Italy and went to Ascoli Piceno, which is about halfway down the boot on the east coast, right across from Rome. And so we would spend Monday through Thursday in the town. We would paint. It was mostly landscape painting, so we would paint from all over, travel all over the little town. It was this great little town that had rivers on both sides, so it couldn't really expand. So everything inside the town was very old, Roman times, obviously. So medieval, all like stone buildings and churches. And so we spent Monday through Thursday there. All right, you want to put I'll take this. You put the onions in? Yep. So we spent the week in Ascoli, and then on the weekends, we would go to different cities in Italy. And push the rest of them in. And one of the cities, we went to Florence, we went to Rome, and we went to Urbino, and we went to Venice. And I can't remember exactly, but one of the places I went, I was looking, I think it might have been in Florence. I was looking for some type of leather to, buy and bring home. I don't know if I wanted a belt or, I don't know, like shoes or boots or something. I wanted something made out of, what did I get? Florence leather. So Italian leather. Florence is known for its leather, so I was looking there. And one of the shops I went into on the street, which had a bunch of leather shops, just also had a bunch of cooking stuff. And I can't remember if I was in a shop or out on the street or what, but I saw this wooden spoon, and I really liked it because it's long. It's maybe, I'd say 15, 16, maybe 17 inches overall. And I just thought it was just like a great long wooden spoon. Maybe I'd seen wooden spoons that long since then or before, but I just really liked it. I liked that it was such a long wooden spoon. So I did eventually end up getting a leather belt, and I got this wooden spoon, and I got a necklace, an amber, like a big chunk of amber in it. Oh, there's Sadie. Hi, Sades. I think out of the whole trip, those are the only things that I bought as souvenirs. The 5 weeks in Italy. I made a lot of really nice paintings. That was a really fun trip. There's
Come here, baby.
over the history of landscape painting,
Come on.
whether that's like,
Oh, you're
you
coming
know,
back.
pre-plein air, which is painting from life.
Hi, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Landscape painters over history have talked about the light in Italy being amazing for landscape. And I can vouch that 100% is amazing for landscape painting. There's something just magical about the light. It has this, maybe it's all the water on both sides of Italy. Maybe it's something about like all of the olive trees that have this great kind of silvery look, and the rolling hills and whatever it is. I mean, Italy is just amazing for landscape painting. I had such an amazing time. Just great views and super inspiring, and we saw lots of beautiful artwork. But my favorite city in Italy was by far Venice. I absolutely loved Venice. We went to Venice first. Right, we flew into Venice on our trip there and spent 3 nights, 4 days, or maybe 3 days, 2 nights in Venice, and it was amazing. I love it. I love how you can kind of walk around. You don't feel like you get lost because it's, again, one of those, it's an island, so you can't go very far. John Claris is here. What's up, John? Good to see you, buddy. Don Lewis is here from Philly. Cast iron manhole cover over there. Whoa. Excellent fire pit bottom. Oh man, that's a good idea. Sean said using a cast iron manhole cover. Don't most manhole covers have holes in them though? I guess that's the point, right? That you want something with a hole in it, so that way the water drains out. I just said that, didn't I? All right, let's get some more wood on here. Keep it going. She's like, I'm done. Going inside. There we go.
That's like so close to the camera.
All right. Move this over just a smidge.
Here. That'd be perfect. Just to be right here. Or here.
You're a witch. All right, let's see if we can get all this starting to burn a little bit more. Get the fire going.
Can I stir it up more?
Sure.
Put it in there already, bro.
So far I have in here,
No, wait,
no, pull it through this way, sweetie. There you go. I have just onions and mushrooms and butter. So we're sauteing those. You can hold on to this. It's not hot at all.
It's a little hot. You're
Well,
lying.
this is not hot at all.
It
I'm
is?
trying, no, it's cold.
You're lying.
It's because it's not attached to the pot.
So cool.
I might need to bring this down a little bit more. Let's see. Let's try that. Bring this way a little bit. Tripod cooking. Gonna make a few little adjustments here and there. Make sure it's doing what you want it to do. There. All right. So let that saute a little bit more. Do you have a spoon over there, girl? Corinne? Thank you. Come on, heat. There we go. That's going. What's that? How we doing? Well, am I that far behind? Looks like I'm very delayed. Hi, cameraman, John Claris. Don't steal manhole covers. I'll try not to, Cyber Troll.
Ow.
You can fall in huge holes in the ground. Primal Wanderer, good to see you, man. Just checking in. Let me refresh this. Looks like I'm really far behind. You can move there. No, Corinne, don't do that. Don't lay on the dog bed.
Move a chair over here. The smoke can blow over that way. That's all.
How long do you usually saute for?
Until it looks like it's ready. So you usually want to,
Depends on the season.
yeah, it depends on the heat. Right now it's taking a little bit longer. But it's mainly just when the onions look like they're about right. So you want them to kind of
Of course, it's nice.
get a little translucent. That's when you know onions are ready. And this doesn't have to saute too much, but I want to just kind of get those onions and mushrooms cooked down just a little bit before I start with the rest of the liquid and the rest of the foods. Whoop.
Let's actually use the ashes from the fire pit and mixed water into it, made paint, and painted the bricks near your shop.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but Corinne was saying that she mixed water in with some ashes one time from the fire pit and made some paint and paint the bricks outside of our shop. So made some gray paint.
Someone from Sardinia, Italy.
Ah, nice. Let's see. I'm from Sardinia, Italy. Nice. Coming a little. Where's Sardinia?
Island.
That's an island. Thank you. I was gonna say, where is it in relation to like Rome or Venice?
All of the mucus kicking.
Sardinia is the ball.
I think so.
Are you the ball? Are you the ball that the Buddha is cooking? Cooking. Kicking? That's offensive to Sardinians. Don Lewis. What's on the menu? Not steak, sorry. We are making a stew with mushrooms and onions and carrots and potatoes and sweet potato and chicken cooked in vegetable stock. Right now I'm just sauteing the onions and mushrooms, taking a little bit longer than I would hope, but it's doing, there we go, now it's starting to, oh, there we go. That wind's helping out.
I'll take a look.
All right. Devin's going to bring you guys over so you can see. So just the mushrooms and onions now. Just still, you can see they're starting to heat up a little bit, turning translucent,
And
cooking down just a smidge.
We made a fort in the woods. We did
Ah.
that.
We did, yeah. We actually, Corinne and I did about a 5-minute long Instagram live stream the other day, maybe 2 days ago, in our web tree fort that we made, a life-size spider web. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, maybe go check that out. The Art of Craftsmanship on Instagram. Post some pictures there. All right, so I think just go ahead and get everything else in now. So we got potatoes. You want to help dump some in, Corinne?
Yes.
So you can do, well, dump. You want to dump? Just dump. So potatoes and carrots. So I'm going to do the potatoes and the carrots now. Go ahead. Yep, sweet potatoes. Regular potatoes, sweet potatoes, and carrots. And we'll mix that around a little bit, get everything starting to cook. And then let's do this. Oh, it's smoky.
There's no food. I'm gonna go inside. Ah, there's smoke. There's on that side. And it's on this side. Alright, I think I'm good. Yeah.
Hold on. No, I'm going to do this.
Ow.
It's because it's getting kind of full. We don't want to drop it in the fire.
Chris says, nice shot. Thanks, Chris. Primal Wander says, how cold is that thing again?
It is right about 50 degrees today. So not too bad.
You want
The wind where we are here on this side of our house, we are on the east side
I found an old penny in my pocket.
of the house. The wind comes predominantly from the west in this little kind of valley that our house is in. So our house blocks the wind, which is why I have my fire pit here, which is nice because it's right near our back door. So
I found an old penny in my my pocket.
It works well. Our house is right behind you guys, about 15, 20 feet. An old penny. What's the date?
I don't know.
There's a water broth in there. That's a question.
It's going to be vegetable broth,
Yeah.
and then if we need more. Yeah, that is old. I can't see it. You have to check that one out. So right now it's nothing, but it will be vegetable broth. All right. Oh, yeah, it's looking good. Okay. Let's go ahead and get the broth in now. Then we can hang out. Maybe I'll grab a beer.
Oh, I think it's $19.99.
$19.99. That's a very dirty old penny for only being from 1999.
Right there.
Uh-oh.
Did you see? Right there.
Looks like maybe 1990. All right. You want to put in the broth?
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, why?
Sorry, guys. I'm sniffing because the wind's out here, and also something about the smoke in my eyes makes my nose run. It's weird. All right. So we just have a vegetable broth.
Pour it all?
So, yep, pour it all in. Careful, not in the fire.
That would be
Good.
good.
So this will be, what's this? How many ounces is that? I forget.
6 cups right there, right?
6 cups,
Isn't that what's in a typical
maybe?
veggie broth thing?
It looks perfect. So that actually filled the vegetable broth filled right up to the top of the line of where the veggies are, which so it's just about perfect. Yeah, this is let's see,
Veggie broth, veggies.
32 ounces. 8 ounces in the cup. 8 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So 32 would be less than 6 cups. All right, so let me give that a little bit of a stir. Yep, need some seasoning. Maybe you can get that for me, Nicole. That's the one thing I forgot to bring out was additional seasonings. So probably put some salt and pepper and whatever else my wife wants to put in here. I'm sure she'll make a decision and bring some stuff out. Probably some garlic powder, maybe some rosemary.
I have a rhyme to remember 8 times 8.
You have a rhyme to remember 8 times 8. What's your rhyme? 8 times 8?
I ate 8 and got sick on the floor. 8 times 8 is 64.
Say it again. Say it louder. Up here.
I
Stand
ate-
up. Stand up. So I can hear you.
I ate and I ate, got sick on the floor. 8 times 8 is 64.
Nice. All right, so we have one more bowl left, and that's our chicken, which will go in a little bit later when the veggies are mostly cooked. I'm gonna go ahead and actually I'll wait. I was gonna put the lid on, but I'm gonna wait to put some seasoning in there. Oh, smoke in the eyes.
Sean says, what are you burning there? And is it off the property?
Oh, all of the wood that I'm burning is off of the property. And I do not know what type of wood it is. That's a good question. What type of wood is it? I don't know. It was, we have a tree back near a zip line that I put up for my daughter, and it fell down on the zip line last year. So I've been cutting it down. If you guys, again, also, if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that I did a quick video of chopping a log the other day for my high school students as a little Spirit Week thing. That was last week, but a lot of them call me a lumberjack, so they know I like axes and things. So I did a real quick video chopping a log, and that log that I was chopping is what's in this fire, the majority of it. I cut it up and did chopped it down to get ready for today, for the live stream. I want to make sure I had some wood. Speaking of that, I might split up a few more pieces, split them up to a little bit smaller.
Whenever people meet you, like in class, they think you're just because whenever people see teachers in class, they think they're just teachers. And they don't know that they actually have lives of their own.
Right. So, Corinne was just saying that when students meet their teachers, they think they're just teachers. They don't know they have lives outside of being teachers.
Yeah, because
Let's scoot over a little bit. Just sit down.
very much lives.
Nice. But yes, we all have lives outside of teaching and lots of different hobbies. Like YouTube.
Like
like making things.
I like walking.
I like collecting axes.
Well, that's only you.
That's what I do. That's what I like.
Yeah, like I said, that's only you.
That's me. That's what I like to do. Yeah, there we go. Wife of the year. Got there. Some beer. Some good beer being wasted right there. Dang. That's what Devin just said behind the camera. The pot gets a beer, but he doesn't get one. Alright. One more. Yeah. Double cannon.
No, that was just regular.
The purple?
Single can. They're both purple. The double one is
Yeah. The axe I'm using is the axe that I actually charred the handle of, the boy's axe. This is when Corinne and I, this is what, 2 Christmases ago maybe? We did a little out in the woods video of making a fire, trying the handle, having some hot cocoa and some marshmallows. You can have some marshmallows. And it's a Trojan boy's axe. So it's a great Trojan is a Australian. It's a nice charred handle, transitional charred. So charred the bottom and just worked our way up slowly. So it's a nice transition between the dark to the regular, and then a nice dark wedge in the top, which is just a nice accent. So this is a great little axe. I love it for kind of just versatile, kind of around the campfire type stuff. Good weight, you know, splitting down logs and things like that. It doesn't have a very super fine bit. It's kind of a nice kind of splitting bit on it. So it works well. And it's just fun to use. I like this little axe. It's great. All right, so let's see. Let's get some more thin pieces on here. Get some stuff going. This fire. Prep stuff. There. All right.
Any cannon's always good. Any type of cannon.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get the lid on this now. Actually, no. No, she just put all the seasonings in, didn't she? I almost just re-seasoned. All right, so I'm gonna get the lid on now. Keep that liquid inside. There. Let that wind do some work. Sit down, drink a beer. I have a magic hat. What do we got? Magic hat, elderberry, I think this is. It's sticking. Come on. I want to show. I don't want to. Let me take a drink first. There we go. Oh yeah. Elder. This is called elderberry. Elderberry Vice. So everything is cooking right now. It's so. I mean, I don't really know exactly. It just kind of depends on how hot your fire is, how close you are to the fire, and then how much stuff you have in. So with the amount of stuff in, I mean, I'll be checking. I guess the sweet potatoes. I have to wait until the sweet potatoes are done. They're like the hardest vegetable in there. That's going to take the longest to cook. So when the sweet potatoes are done, the stew will be done. And obviously I'll put the chicken in before the sweet potatoes are done. But I'll cook everything for a while, and then I'll get the chicken in. And then we'll be good to go. See if we can get this fire burning up a little higher now. Get everything cooking. And then once it starts to bubble, I'll move the pot up off of the fire a little bit. This that technique of putting notches in one of your tripod pieces actually was suggested to me by my buddy Sean. who was here earlier, Crafting a Life I Want. I'm not sure if he's still here, but he was here earlier. He might be checking in, but he was like, yeah, why don't you put some notches in it and you can move it up and down. So.
And a crazy Russian hacker did a similar thing on YouTube too.
Did he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I literally just saw one of his videos for the very first time like 2 days ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He does some fun stuff.
My daughter, Corinne, she suggested, she was like, let's look at Crazy Russian Hacker. I was like, I have no idea who you're talking about. But yeah, he was cool. It's fun. I just watched a couple of his like reviews of weird things from Amazon. Skylar Richards drinking good old Bud Light. Good. Maybe old. I wouldn't describe Bud Light as good.
Whatever works for you.
But Bud Light is a beer, which sometimes is better than no beer. Is it a dark beer? It's not a dark beer. It's a Weiss.
Stew, we would put a dark beer.
What I'm drinking is a berry Weiss, so it's kind of a medium amber. I like Corona better. I like Corona better too. Magic Hat, a local brewery. Magic Hat's from Vermont, so no.
But it's nationally distributed.
But it is nationally distributed. They're everywhere. So, Magic Hat number 9 is really delicious. My goodness, I'm sitting right in the smoke. So how's everybody out there doing today? What are you guys having for lunch? We will be having stew or dinner, whatever meal it is. Yeah, or if it's 2:45 in the morning. What's on the menu? 24-hour diners. That's one thing that I miss. Being able to go and get breakfast at any time in the middle of the night. It's one of those things that we did when we were in college fairly often with groups of friends, you know, kind of like, leave the bar at 2 o'clock and someone would suggest going to a diner, maybe Double T or Nautilus or Towson Diner. Anybody from Maryland, you might know those. But, yeah, that's one of those things I'll be happy to do again once we figure out this whole coronavirus stuff in the world. Not a priority, though, at this time. Not a priority. Unfortunately. But, yeah, that'd be a fun trip. You know, we usually kind of pile 6, 7, 8 people into one person's car. And whoever was the least drunk, whoever was the most sober, hopefully completely sober. Sometimes people would have class in the morning or something, so they wouldn't drink. Or we would just drive. Anyway, bad college kids. But yeah, going to a diner in the middle of the night. We had one time where, actually everyone here right now was there, I believe.
Well, not Corinne.
Well, everyone here right now. We it was winter time, and it was snowing, and so we went with a group of friends to a local high school that had a really good sledding hill. We went sledding for a couple hours, and then we all left and drove from there to a diner in the middle of a storm, and it was a thunder snow. So it was actually thunder and lightning during a snowstorm, and it was really awesome. But we all sledded for a while, and then we went to a diner. And our buddy Steve, who had a red Jeep Cherokee at the time, I remember he was one of the drivers, and when we left the diner, instead of driving out of the parking lot, so he was between the parking lot and the road, facing the road. So there was a sidewalk and, you know, parking, you know, berms and things, and he just drove right up over everything and right to the road. He was like, it's all covered in snow anyway, so he just like went right over the little curbs, over the sidewalk, right into the road. He's like, I'm just going straight, I'm not backing up. It was fun.
Anyone with a Jeep is always looking for an excuse to do a little off.
I've got a Jeep. You know what that means?
I can do it.
I can drive wherever I want.
Yeah, didn't Charles try to drive up that same hill at a different time of year?
Oh, he did,
got
yeah.
stuck?
Jeep Wrangler. I don't think he got stuck.
Yeah, Lockwood High School.
He could make it up.
Did-
One guy couldn't. He couldn't.
Oh.
Two cars.
Yeah, our buddy had a Jeep Wrangler, and he tried to drive up this hill. It's probably, I don't know, I'd say at least a 45-degree angle. Was it in the snow?
Remember sledding? And they took the...
Was that the same time as when we were all sledding?
Yeah.
He almost made it. He did not, though, which was even worse because there was another person there with a different vehicle who did make it. So we're like, oh, you couldn't make it up in your Jeep. Come on, fire. Burn.
What's going on here?
I know, maybe we need to get some more small sticks. Let me grab a few things. I got some sycamore here. Oh, another fire pit. Oh, there we go. Coming back. We're under these two big sycamore trees here, which is really nice. It casts really nice shade in the summer. And I don't know, just great. I like these big trees. One thing that is kind of annoying, but also beneficial sometimes, is that it drops a lot of branches in our yard. So I have to pick them up a lot, but it makes a lot of really good kindling. Sycamore burns really well. And the branches that fall off all the time are very dry and brittle, so they're easy to break up, throw on the fire. So I'm actually going to throw some in among the cracks between these bigger logs, see if I can get some flames going. Should be good. Get everything burning. Just kind of keep these flames going. So cook this stew.
Pop Rocky's double cheeseburger.
Pop Rocky.
That's the diner.
Double cheeseburger at the double T.
Skylord says homemade chicken Alfredo in the salad.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Primal says chicken Caesar salad.
Nice. Oh, man.
Says wild time.
Wild times, yeah. Chris remembers that. Our buddy Pop.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning. Who? Morning, Aunt. Oh, Corinne's got a hot chocolate. Nice. You're going to drop all those marshmallows. They're all going to make it in your mouth.
Navajo Nation dropping by to say
All right, Ann Orta, Navajo Nation. So Corinne's been learning about some Native American environmental
Yeah.
environment,
I wrote
the ways
the
that
essay,
she
so
wrote an
she's
essay
gonna-
on
Yeah, and I wrote-
how the environment affected the ways of life for different Native American tribes around our country. So she wrote an essay about that. Enjoyed doing that. That was one of the more fun. It was one of the more fun homeschooling stuff we did this week. How are we doing here? Everything's good. Nothing's boiling away yet. Not yet. So that's good.
Sean says, what boots are you guys wearing? They look comfortable.
Boots. So I am wearing Timberland. These are old Timberlands, man. I've had these Timberlands for quite a while. They're not like typical work Timberlands. They're more dressy Timberlands, except for these are pretty old now. They're zippered sides with laces in the front, like a cap toe. They are comfortable. And my wife is wearing her warmest
Walmart
boots.
Special. They're
Survivor
yeah.
work type. The kind of.
The Walmart brand Survivor work boots, which are honestly the only boots that have kept my feet warm in the dead of winter.
Yeah, we actually both got a pair. So when I was in high school, or maybe college, when did we go to Colorado? Steamboat. High school?
Close.
I think I was.
Probably
Did you
It
know?
was-
I was probably 9th or 10th.
It was probably right on the edge or something.
Maybe like
it was
11th
freshman-
grade, 12th grade, something like that. Maybe freshman year of college. My family, my brothers. I have 3 brothers. Devin, who's behind the camera, and 2 older brothers. Older brother Drew and Derek. Derek was here earlier. And my mom and dad, the 6 of us, went out to Steamboat Springs, Colorado, for a ski and snowboard trip. And my mom, before we left, was like, "Well, we got to get all the boys snow boots." And my dad was like, "No." It's like, men don't wear snow boots. They just wear work boots. Just get them waterproof work boots. And sure enough, that's what we got. It's just Timberland kind of style, butter style work boots. And they're waterproof, man. Those boots lasted me I actually still have them. They're kind of all broken up, but they were super waterproof, really warm, worked really, really well. I love those. And so a few years later, I had mentioned to Nicole that she was saying she wanted some warmer boots, and so I suggested getting those. And this is when she was working. We lived up in New Hampshire, and she was working at a Strawberry Bank Museum, working outside in the gardens predominantly. And she got those, and they And they've always kept your feet warm, which is a rarity for my wife. She's always cold.
Jeff Davis says Mackenzie tacos for dinner.
Mackenzie tacos. What are Mackenzie tacos, Jeff?
Jeff asked what part of the world are you?
Geographic.
Ah, so Jeff, we're in Baltimore, Maryland, the east coast of USA. Jeff Davis, that kind of sounds like I guess it sounds like a name from English descent, English, Scottish, European descent, so I guess it could be for anywhere. But Jeff Davis, depending on where you are from, we are in northern Baltimore County in Maryland. Ugh. Navajo Nation. If you want to drink really beer, England, sorry, only in Germany, can send a list of beers, not dishwater.
Dishwater.
Dang. Mr. Mark Gibbons over here trashing the English beer. Morning, everyone. And I do enjoy both English and German beers.
Germany has bigger cups.
Stein.
You win there one.
Devin said Germany has bigger cups, though.
Size.
Bigger portion sizes.
Quantity and quality. Those are the main things.
Well, guys, it's been fun. We got to build a fire outside, hang out. It's been off and on. The weather's been kind of hit or miss over the last month or so here. Had some really beautiful days and some really rainy days, and just in this last week or so, it started to dip down and get a little bit colder again. Sadie inside?
No,
Oh, she's right there. Oh.
Covered in ashes.
Dog right behind us. Use my stein to drink tea. Darren Weghorn. Moonshine, some good apple pie moonshine. Oh, yeah. Jeff Davis, what are Mackenzie tacos, Jeff?
Daddy,
Yes.
in the book I was just reading,
Mhm.
A Dog's Life, the author said her favorite dog name is Sadie.
Nice. Favorite dog name for the author of the book A Dog's Life. Her favorite dog name is Sadie. That was our dog's name.
It looks good. I'll get a shot there.
It looks good. Oh, it's starting to bubble just a little bit, maybe. Let's bring the camera over. You guys can see how it's looking right now. Everything's in there.
Take a while.
Yeah, it'll take some time. Once it starts boiling, we'll put that there for now. Give it a little bit of a stir. Oh yeah, beer carbonation. So it's looking pretty good. A good amount of liquid for the veggies that are in there. Again, you can see all these bright orange. These are all the sweet potatoes. They're going to take the longest to cook. But what time? It's about 1:30. We had a late breakfast. I don't know about Devin, but we had a late breakfast. So we will enjoy this when it is done. Probably another half an hour, 45 minutes or so.
36%.
Well, I don't know if you guys will be able to hang out the whole time, but the majority of the work is done. You can see what we're making, what we've made, what we're drinking. We're hanging out. Everybody's here. A little brown sugar in it. Oh. I don't know. It's mostly savory right now. We put some Worcestershire sauce, pepper, and garlic and rosemary and sea salt. And beer. So it's mostly a savory stew rather than a sweet stew. I guess I would add a little hint of sweetness to it too. Might be nice. Brown.
Stock, it just kept coming.
Right. Thinking about, we were trying to decide whether we wanted to do chicken or pork, and we had chicken, so we did chicken. If we would have pork, maybe the brown sugar would be nice. Let's see what we got. Fire's going, get a few more little pieces of wood on there. Keep everything burning well. Some smaller stuff. Corinne doesn't like the stew. Oh yeah. We'll make some biscuits to go with this. I have some pumpernickel bread that I got from the store this morning. Well, yeah, Let's see.
Maybe we can make
Yeah, I'll
this
do
about
it
that.
here. There we go. Well,
It's like a chicken breast.
we can make the dough out here. Here we go.
I'm Wanders. Has never been a fan of sweet potatoes. No clue why.
I love sweet potatoes. I don't know. I like sweet potatoes. They are nice. I like make good French fries.
It's
Are good
really
in stews
hard
and soups.
to drink anything this way.
Yeah, it's really hard.
It's
Know why you would do it?
People don't do that.
That's why you have a ring of chocolate around your mouth now, and a chocolate mustache.
Oh, yeah. That's not
Bird, one word. This guy's work is awesome. Talk about me, Bird. I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, there we go. The fire getting that stew going. Cheddar cheese and baked in the oven until cheese all melted. Very yummy. Let's see. I'll be down in 6 hours. Please save some for us.
Will you open your
No
mouth?
clue. We're in the burbs of Houston, Texas. Gotcha. Little town called Sugarland. The movie Sugarland Express was made.
hello.
Corinne, stop.
Back in the 60s and 70s. Mackenzie tacos have creamed corn mixed into the ground beef topped. Ooh, nice.
I like corn.
I love corn. I love corn and everything. We grew up here in Baltimore County, grew up on a farm, and we had two big cornfields on our farm. Our neighbors would plant on our property, and they would get the first pick of all the corn, and then we would get the second growth as a trade for them using the land. And so my dad would sell a lot of corn on the side of the road when we were growing up. We had corn all summer long, corn on the cob. I absolutely love corn. Put it into almost everything.
The only place that isn't is right
Jeff Davis with cheddar cheese and baked in the oven till cheese is all melted. Yeah, biscuits we're gonna make cheddar cheese mixed into them.
Oh yeah, that's cheddar cheese biscuits. It's like one of the only things with cheese I like. I also like pizza. It's very plain.
Corinne likes plain pizza with just olive oil and garlic and cheese, maybe some sausage,
Yes,
maybe some bacon.
So some
She likes some meat in her pizza, but not the red sauce.
Ew, no, that's really gross. Let's see if there are any bad comments going.
the head.
Big bag.
That's what we're talking about. We're going to shoot today.
Oh yeah. So we're going to do a video this afternoon after the live stream. We're going to start working on a mallet made with all hand tools. So we'll shoot most of it outside too. So I'm going to cut some wood, shape it down with axes and rasps, and draw knife and draw horse, auger a hole, put a handle in, put a wedge in, a little bit of glue, but do everything by hand with hand tools. Should be a fun video. Nice day to work outside. And it's not super hot out, not too cold, just right.
I'll just go under the table. That's fine.
That's okay. You're hiding behind the table. Let's see if this stew is boiling yet.
My eyes hurt.
Nope.
No, not yet. It's steaming a lot. It's thinking about it.
Go play in your web.
No.
Gosh.
I'm gonna play. Somebody has to come with me. Maybe we can take a break from soup.
Only child problems.
Stew break. Only child problems. Need someone to play with.
And people can see it. Doesn't everybody out there want to see it?
You'd have to walk all the way to the woods. We have everything set up here.
No.
Lobster rolls. Skylar Richards. Ooh. I knew you were from Texas. Glad to see a Northern Texan. Life group leader is in the process of moving there soon. All right.
Who's having lobster rolls?
Skylar Richards talks about lobster rolls.
Man.
That's a New England thing right there. So I'm from Maryland. My wife is from New England, Maine, and Vermont, New Hampshire. Born in New Hampshire, lived in Maine for a while, then mostly in Vermont. And then we met in Micah. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Bird, one word.
Bending.
So we're getting there, guys. Everything is cooking really well. I could, if we need to, I could lower the thing more, but I don't know. I think it's just because it's windy. The sides are staying cool, but it's cooking. I just checked on it, and when I opened it up, it was steaming pretty heavily. It's not boiling, which is actually probably good. But once it starts boiling, then I'll move it up a little bit. The dog's trying to run away. She's an old dog, though. Old Sadie. You guys will probably all recognize her from the videos. We usually have her on a lead when she's outside with us, but too much stuff to get tangled around right now, so she's just out here hanging out, wandering around,
Yeah, baby.
enjoying her freedom. Fortunately, because she's old, she's not very fast anymore, so she won't try to run. She wouldn't try to outrun.
The snake looks so weird.
She's tried
Like,
recently,
the
and
nose, it just like doesn't have
then I catch her. Let's see what we got. Never watched one of these lives before. I'm from UK and recently found your channel. You make me want to learn how to make knives. Awesome, James Bird. I appreciate it, man. It's yeah. I really enjoy making knives. When we first started the channel, I knew that we would do some knives and things, but it wasn't like the main goal. It was to do everything, which is what we do. But as they say, YouTube loves knife making videos, and I like making knives, so we try to sprinkle them in pretty often. You get a lot of views and a lot of comments. People really like it. It's a fun community to be a part of.
It's like seasoning in the stew.
It's like seasoning in the stew. I don't understand what you mean.
Like a sprinkling.
Oh, sprinkling in. Gotcha. Sprinkle. You blocked off the heat.
No, it's going to burn real quick. You'll see.
All right, we'll see. So James Bird, you should try doing some just stock removal. If you can get a piece of steel that's pre-hardened and grind it into a knife shape. You don't have to do any heat treating. You can use old circular saw blades. What are you doing, goofball? Stop it.
Leave Daddy alone.
But yes, you can do. There's a lot of ways to get into knife making. That don't involve a ton of tools and a ton of expensive machinery. You can use either small grinders or a 4-inch angle grinder to do your bevels. You can do everything by hand. My very first knives were made with just a Dremel tool with a cutting disc. So I would cut out the shape of a knife from a circular saw blade and then use files, metal files, to put the bevels on, glue wooden handles, shape everything by hand with files and rasps. Definitely something you can do. And the product of what you make is based off of your ability and your desire to create something and show your craftsmanship and your skill and your artistic ability. So if you want to make something that's purely utilitarian, then make it the shape that you want it and put an edge on it. And one of the things is circular saws don't hold an edge super well because they're not the greatest steel, but they do sharpen up really easily. So if you need to, you can always just use a little sharpening stone or a file or a little sharpener, all sorts of different sharpeners, and just sharpen them back up. So you use them while you're out. When you get home, sharpen them up, keep it nice and sharp, and it works really well. And they're easy to sharpen as well. You can use a smooth river stone or something to sharpen it if you're out in the bush. If you're out camping or hiking and you want something to you need something that's not sharp. The nice thing about a circular saw knife is that it's easy sharpened out while you're out camping or hiking. Ever tried to make one of the Russian Yakut knives? Russian Yakut knives. I have not. I'm trying to think what that looks like. Let's see. Russian Yakut knife. Yakut knife. Oh, yeah, those are great. I didn't realize that's what they were called. I haven't tried to, but I've thought about it. They're pretty cool. They have kind of a single bevel and a flat side, and the flat side of the knife has kind of almost like a fuller. A fuller is an indented groove, just kind of like a rounded groove, but they're usually hammered, so you kind of do the shape, shape it, and it's got a little bit of a space, kind of like what an S grind would do for a kitchen knife, where basically you have a hollow grind in the side of the knife, so that way when you cut, whatever you're cutting kind of pops off, so it doesn't stick to the knife. The Russian Yakut knives have kind of a fuller kind of ground into one side, so you have one flat side and a beveled side, and the flat side has that fuller hammered into it. I've seen a few different people make those on different videos, and I thought about they do look pretty cool. Something nice about having that that forge.
If you hadn't noticed.
Having the forged look. That's fine. You can see Corinne's blue hair.
Yes,
They have noticed. Remember who Chris Paparocki mentioned about it earlier. It's a nice blue hair. So we dyed the bottom of Corinne's hair, the bottom half of her hair blue, which she really has enjoyed. Looks really good.
Ow.
She keeps it brushed, which she doesn't. Oh, well, I guess maybe it's because it's windy outside.
My hair's always naughty.
Same as a pulk, Sean. Puko? Similar to a puko. If a pulk, P-U-U-L-K, is that, you trying to write puko? Puko, but with a hollow center, correct. Or a hollow grind on one side, yeah. Similar to a puko, but it has a flat side instead of bevels on both sides. You have a flat side and a beveled side, and a hollow ground on one side. They do look really cool, and I really enjoy watching people make them. I thought about that a couple times. Just like getting into forging and making my own knives is just an experience in itself. The more I make knives, the more I want to, start them from even like, start with material for, stock removal knives, and then getting to forging and doing heat treating. So the more knives I make, the more I enjoy, going further back and being part of the, the starting part of the process. So, going from a piece of steel, forging it into the shape of a knife. Whoa. Run away. Vegetable stock container. So I've done a few forged knives, but most of what I've done is stock removal. But I do enjoy, getting into that process. And I mean, even, people say, there's this debate between what's better, stock removal or forged knives. And I mean, it's just a ridiculous debate. It's like people who say you need to forge your knives, you're not a real knife maker. That's like, well, are you going to like smelt your steel and dig it out of the ground? Like, how far back do you need to go? Like, what's the origination of your materials that you're really looking for? I mean, are you going to work with a piece of steel that's already pre-made into something that you can heat treat well, or use a chunk of steel that you need to shape down, or a round bar, or whatever it is? I feel like, as a maker, it's all about what you're claiming. So if you're saying that you are a blacksmith and you forge your knives and you don't, then you're obviously lying to your client or whoever it is. So as long as you're telling the truth, you say what you do. If you're a knife maker.
Did you throw that rock at me?
I don't think anyone threw a rock at you. I didn't throw any rocks. If you're a knife maker and you say that you forge your knives, then you should forge your knives. If you're a knife maker and you do stock removal, then just say there's stock removal, or say what's important to you about it. Just don't say you're doing something that you're not. All right, let's check this. Got some good flame on there right now, and I think I see the pot moving around a little bit. I think it might starting to boil. We'll bring you guys over and you can check it out. Let's see. Oh, it's steaming pretty good. We're getting good bubbles. And give that a little bit of a stir. Oh yeah. It's starting to look good. Around a little bit. It's not the quickest process, but you know, if you're not in a hurry, it's nice to work outside. It's just about the experience, which I mean, I think a lot of cultures that are food-based cultures are about the experience of food. So you get like, you know, the Japanese culture and they're into presentation. You know, that's just as much as a part of the experience of eating is the smell and the sight and the sound. You know, all those things come into play when you're eating. And so working outside, cooking something, enjoying the landscape and, you know, being part of nature and part of the land when you're working on something is all part of the experience. You know, I know that I am going to enjoy this stew better because of the whole experience of making it outdoors and hanging out with you guys. I could make it inside on the stove top, but you know, I like the idea of being outside and enjoying the weather, enjoying my family, enjoying you guys, and making all this part of what we're doing together. All right, let's see. Sorry, fingers got away from me, Sean. Is craftsmanship a hobby or is it your job? My channel is a hobby. We do make from it, which is nice, but it is not our main source of income. Both my brother and I have full-time jobs. Fortunately, I am a teacher, so my job is still going full-time. But yeah, so this is not our main source of income. We both have full-time jobs, but that's the hope and goal, is that eventually we'll be able to do this full-time. You know, have enough subscribers and enough support from, you know, you guys and from different, you know, people who want to help the channel work and run, and could have, you know, maybe eventually some more sponsors and things to help us pay our bills and bring you guys more content. I mean, that's the hope, is just to be able to make and, you know, give you guys content and build this community and just have a, you know, good time kind of being part of this kind of maker community in YouTube. There's a really great community of people who are making things, and the nice thing about YouTube, as opposed to what I know about kind of the entertainment business and TV in general, is that everyone's kind of open to sharing a part of the pie. The pie is so huge, right? There's so much space out there. Everyone in the world is watching YouTube. So being able to create content, put things out there, learn from each other, be a part of this community is something that is very, it's just unique to YouTube, which I think, you know, some other social media platforms, you know, people are willing to help each other and create something that we all can enjoy. Content creators are very open and welcome. You know, what I've found so far, I have, you know, just did a really great video of unboxing of 2x72 grinder from Brian House from Housework. I mean, he was super generous and reached out to me from his channel and built that grinder for me and sent it up, just to be able to support the channel and support each other. I mean, I'm doing the same thing, you know, working with a collaboration with Outdoors 55. You know, I reached out to him a while back and he supported my channel. We support each other and just kind of bringing everybody up together. It's all part of this YouTube community of makers, of people who are putting content out there to bring you guys something to watch, and, you know, and maybe hopefully make a living off of it and be able to support ourselves and our families as well. But it's been great, and I really enjoy, you know, doing it, you know, and the benefit of community that I've been able to build and meet everybody and have you guys come and join us on these like live streams, things like this has been really fun. I'm glad that I got into it. Let's see. 2 things I want to start in 2020: knife making and drone flying. Nice. We do the same thing. My brother just got a drone, which we've used on the channel a few times now. You might have noticed. Hello again from Kingston, Mike Nickel. Good to see you. Aguzkan from Turkey. Hello from Dallas. Carrollton, teacher and a maker. Name of the game right now is decentralization. You can rely on the system right now, so we'll still keep teaching and the best we can do. That is true. Do the best we can do. Maryland still is, we just learned yesterday that schools are going to be closed through the middle of May. So we'll see. You know, I would be fairly shocked if we end up going back this school year, but other than kind of the, I kind of, you know, I think that it may have been better to just close schools now for the rest of the year rather than kind of string people along. I don't know really. I mean, I kind of also agree with the state superintendent. She said that, you know, doing things in moderation in steps and kind of maybe keeping people's hopes alive to the fact that we may eventually go back to school this school year. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but it is what it is. So I'll be teaching from home for the next month, which, you know, I enjoy. I like working with my daughter and helping her learn every day. I still get to, you know, do school with her schoolwork with her every day. But the part that I love about teaching is working with students. So, you know, doing this job from home is not the same type of job that, you know, I love. It's a lot of the work and the writing emails and meetings and, you know, grading, and not as much as the interaction with students. So it definitely has its benefits of being home with my daughter, but there's also downfalls with, you know, as a teacher, I want to be with my students. So we got Scott O'Hara. My dad's here. Hey, Dad, how's it going? Good to see you. Texas schools are shut for the rest of the year. I think it's, last I heard, which was just a couple days ago, I think it was 26 states have shut down schools for the rest of the year in Maryland. I mean, in the United States. Vermont schools are closed for the rest of the year. Yep. Message on Instagram showing off my art of craftsmanship hoodie. Mike Nickel, nice. I'll have to check it out. Make sure you tag me in there in your Instagram posts. I'll check it out. JS Beam, your teacher comes through in your videos. I hope so. That's you know, something that comes relatively natural to me, which is why, since I kind of went to college and realized that I would be inspired by my professors and it was something that I wanted to do, I kind of started thinking that way and working that way, and I think it comes fairly natural. Talking to people and teaching, I really enjoy it. So I'm glad that it comes through in my videos. It's nice to have my brother there with me, so I always feel like I'm kind of bouncing my ideas off of somebody. And he and I work a lot on, like, you know, kind of fleshing out things throughout the videos, and, you know, I might run into a problem and he'll kind of help me figure it out while we're working. So it's nice to have someone else there who understands it, and then also he can work on doing all the production stuff, and I get to do just the building and focusing on making. I gotta get a little bit more wood on this fire. It's starting to die down some. Let's see, split up a few more things, get these ready. I think it should be enough. Let's see. I like to have these kind of small. Nice to be able to control the fire with smaller pieces. This piece is dry. Wants to split weird. Come on. Come on, you. There we go. My goodness. This little piece is stubborn. Starting to go. This wood is a little bit punky. There we go. Do 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 do. Almost went. Here we go. Let's get a split going. Let's see if we can get her to split right down the middle. See my axe accuracy. Go. And one more. This one's a little bit wet. Go. What's cooking? For those of you who are joining us more recently, I am making a stew. It has chicken. Actually, it doesn't have chicken yet. It will soon. It has carrots and regular potatoes, sweet potatoes, onion, mushroom. Yeah, and that's it. Onion, mushroom, potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrot, and I will put chicken in it soon. Let's see. That's as low as it's gonna go. How low can you go? How long? Stew will take us, I don't know, usually if I have a good fire roaring, it can kind of take, kind of around a half an hour, 45 minutes. This one is taking a little bit longer just because I'm focusing on hanging out with you guys, which I don't mind. I don't mind it taking longer. I also don't mind hanging out with you guys. It's fun. As you can see, I lost my wife and daughter. Well, I think they went inside, get out of the wind and the smoke. That's okay. It's a nice day out. I enjoy it. Let's see. Johnny Mercer from Cheyenne, Wyoming. Interested to hear education discussion. High school. Oh, nice. English teacher. Singing along here as well. Yeah. APM Gold. Hello from the UK. Good to see you. India. All right, let's see if we're boiling now. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, still bubbling pretty good. Steaming well. Well, the fire's kind of dying down, going up and down as I go, but that cast iron holds the heat inside. It's really nice. So even though the fire might kind of change a little bit, as long as there's not like a ton of flames licking the steel of the cast iron, then it'll stay hot inside there and it'll keep cooking that stew. Even when I put more wood on, and like I said, as the fire dies down and builds up and dies down, the heat in that pot stays pretty consistent. Ooh, there it goes. There it goes. Those flames going again. All right, what do we got? Anybody else hanging out? We got 52 people watching. Nice. Good to see everybody here. Anybody have any questions or specific comments? We are following along. Johnny Mercer. He asked, do you live on a family legacy farm? Reminds me of my grandparents' farm in Minnesota. I do not currently. I grew up on a family farm here in Baltimore County, but we do not own the farm anymore. Some friends of the family own it now, but we're close by. I grew up in northern Baltimore County, in a little town called Glen Arm, on a farm that had been in my family for quite a few generations. But now we live not too far from there. Actually, I live on a property that I rent. And there's a really beautiful stone barn up behind me, some outbuildings, an old horse barn. It's really nice. It's a really beautiful property. And I'm really lucky to live here. We live right on a golf course. If you guys watched my recent painting video that I did, we did a painting across the fields and looking out across the golf course, which was really fun. I did it a 2-hour challenge with my buddy Tom Simons from his YouTube channel, Turbo Simons. He's done a lot of live streaming recently, showing how he does digital art. So he does really beautiful digital art. He's a video game designer and concept artist. Sorry, I had to call Sadie back over. She's starting to wander away again. Sadie girl. Looks like a good time. Need to finish Fisker's axe. Your aim is quite accurate. I appreciate that. Do a lot of axe work and work on my accuracy. Finish Fisker's axe. I don't know about that. I like finish axes. There are some funky finish axes out there. I would love to have a finish axe, but Fisker's has the axe that has, an integrated handle. So it's got this kind of plastic handle that's molded around a metal head. And although they do work well, I'm just not a fan of that. I really like the idea of having a tool where you can rehandle it if you want to, and put it on a different handle, change the length, and the Fiskars, those kind of permanent handles, don't allow that. I saw a video of someone who did a handle for one of those, a wooden handle, and I think I saw some pictures of it. Maybe I saw a posting about it. Never actually watched the video, but I don't know how I would have done it, because I don't know how you would other than doing kind of a wrap over top and wrapping around like the way you would have done maybe a stone axe, like a primal axe would be, taking something and wrapping it around a stone or around a piece of steel. So instead of having an eye, you'd have the handle wrapped around it. But I like axes, and I like the fact, one of the things I love about them is that they're so potentially could last forever if you take care of them. It's a piece of steel that could last, and you take care of it and sharpen it, and don't let it get rusted and pitted, and something that could last you for a long time, for generations, and hand it down to your children and your grandchildren. A lot of the axes that I have are ones that were made long before I was born. I might have some axes that were made in the 70s, but I would assume most of what I have are axes that were pre-1980. I was born in 1983, 37 years old. Most of my axes are older than I am. What knife are you carrying today? I have a Leatherman Skeletal. This is the knife that I have on me all the time, all day, every day. Skeletal. It's been really odd being at home every day. I don't carry anything on me except for my knife. I have my wallet in my back pocket right now because I went to the grocery store this morning to get some of these ingredients, but I've just been waking up in the morning and putting on my pants, and I have everything that I normally would have, my keys and my wallet, my phone. I guess that is in and out of my pocket pretty regularly. But yeah, my skeletal stays on me all the time. I always have my skeletal. I have several different knives that I wear for camping and backpacking and hiking, but my EDC knife is a Leatherman Skeletal. When I was in grad school, one of the students who was in the program with me, Alan Rushing, he had a Leatherman, an older Leatherman that had a pocket clip on it, and it was fairly narrow, and that was something that I had never seen before. I didn't really like the idea of having to carry a Leatherman on a leather, inside of a leather holster on the outside of your pants, like on your belt. I didn't like the idea of having that. I'd always, for years and years, had carried pocket knives that had pocket clips so it could go on the inside of your pocket. And so I saw that he had a Leatherman, and I really liked it because of the pliers, and I hadn't never seen one that was, you could put it in your pocket, and his had a pocket clip on it. And I like the idea of having a pliers because, as a painter and an artist, you're always kind of pulling staples and putting things in nails and hanging things on walls, and just, it's really good to have a pair of pliers around. So I had looked up a few different ones. I liked the just kind of an original basic Leatherman shape. And so I was looking for a Leatherman or something that had a pocket clip. And at the time, the Skeletal was the only one that had a pocket clip. Now, almost all Leathermans come with, the option of putting a pocket clip on. And I really didn't like the shape and the look of it. It just had kind of a funky look. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. But like I said, it was the only one that had a pocket clip, has a nice exterior, knife with the liner lock, so you can open and close it with one hand, which is also important when you're doing stuff. You're hanging something, open it up, use it, put it away. It has a screwdriver, a double-sided screwdriver, Phillips, and a flathead that fits inside the handle, and the pliers, and a little carabiner for opening bottles of beer, which I really like as well. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the look of it originally, but it has grown on me since then. I mean, that was in 2008, 2009 that I got my first one, and I've carried them ever since. Just having pliers on me at all times and the screwdriver is just a super, super versatile tool and thing to have, and something really hard to live without now. So that's my go-to tool. That's what I carry with me every day in my pocket.
Low battery.
Okay.
You can probably do like 15 more minutes.
All right.
Maybe you can ask. I can try to plug this in, and we can see how it buzzes.
Okay.
I'm just going to ask the people.
Sure. Woo, baby. There's some wind. Get that fire rocking. So we are streaming live from my brother's phone. We usually try not to plug in the phones while we're streaming because we get a little bit of a buzz. He's getting a little bit low in his battery, so we're going to try to plug it in with a battery charger that he has. So let us know how it sounds. Sometimes when we have these plugged in, there's kind of a weird buzz. So let us know how it sounds. We'll try to look at it as well. If we're getting a real funky buzz, we might take it out and finish up the live stream before too long. But for now, we're going to try plugging it in and see how it sounds. Just let me know what you guys think. If you hear a buzz when we plug it in, he's going to plug it in right now. So if you hear a buzz now, let me know. Who made your fire pit? I got this fire pit. Someone posted it on either Facebook Marketplace or Nextdoor, the Nextdoor website, for free. So it's nice. It has kind of a stone. I think it's like a Home Depot or Lowe's fire pit. It's a great little fire pit, though. All right. Bill Sars says no buzz. Brett McCartney says no buzz. That's good. Well, that's good. If anybody else hears one, just let us know. So it's plugged in now with the battery pack. So if you guys can hear anything different, that's really good. Yeah, if there's any funky audio.
Still trying to dial it in.
Scott O'Hara says audio is clean.
It's clean.
That's good. So Scott O'Hara is my father. He's a video production guy. He works with my brother as well in video production. So if he's not hearing anything, then it's probably clean. That's good. So we are using a new wireless mic that we got. We've had some troubles with it, but it seems like it's working really well today, which is great. It's great. I can move around and talk with you guys, and audio is nice and clear. Something that we've been trying to get that up and running for the last couple weeks since we started doing live streams. So it's nice that it's working well today. All right, let's check. I think we're ready for chicken. Oh yeah, we're bubbling away. Give this a little bit of a stir, and then everything's gonna need some more time to cook, but I can get the chicken in now, I think, because the chicken can cook down as well in there. Let's see, sweet potatoes are looking good. I'll have to try one of them. Let's see how we look. Do a little, not too bad. It cut pretty well, that's good. So sweet potatoes are pretty hard. That's why I'm checking those the most. Oh yeah, that's nice, squishing well. Means those are starting to finish, starting to cook well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in the chicken now. And then once we get the chicken in, I may add a little bit more water, but maybe not, we'll see. All right, chicken's going in. This is 4 chicken thighs cut up into chunks. Mix that in. All right. We'll go ahead and close that back up and let it cook down for a while, get boiling again, or get cooking well again, hopefully not boiling too heavily. And we'll hang out for some more. All right. Lid back on. All right. All right, y'all. All right, Primal Wander, thank you so much, man, for coming by. I appreciate it. And we will see you again at the next live stream. Check it out. I know you always comment on my videos and like my Instagram posts. I really appreciate that, man. Good to have you here today. Let's see. All right. Cheers, all. Sean. Let's see what we got. Whoa. Where'd it go? There it is. Let's see. I want to arrange this just a little bit so I can get some wood down on the flames some. There we go. Woo! Smoke in my face. There we go. Thank you. Got a beer delivery. Thank you. All right. All right, let's see. Get this fire cooking. Come on, fire.
Mike's doing a great job on this.
Oh, good. Yeah, we have a little, what's this called? A wind sock over the mic. Seems like it's working pretty well. We could definitely hear it before we put the wind sock on, so it's nice that it's working pretty well.
Beyond this dish, what's your favorite things to cook?
Let's see. My favorite things to cook. I don't know. I don't know if I really have a favorite. I mean, cooking things over the fire, you know, I think usually simple things are nice. So things that you can roast, like hot dogs and sausages, are always fun. And there's something really nice about that kind of charred quality to them. I've done some different like foil packets of things wrapped up in foil and cooked over the fire, which is always nice. Like baked potatoes and those type of things are fun. Cooking at home, my wife and I do quite a bit of cooking together. We've always cooked together, which is kind of nice. But we do lots of different stuff. We're just kind of always, we're notorious for making something that's really good and not kind of keeping track of how we made it. So we'll like, make something and put a bunch of seasonings in, a bunch of ingredients, and then, we'll go to make it again, and it doesn't turn out either the same way, or we'll make it a little different each time. But we both really enjoy lots of different type of stuff. So we, I really like making like fried fish tacos, with different types of ingredients like pickled onions and jicama and different things in them like that. One of my favorite dishes that I like to make to bring to parties and things is fish pasta, which is like a bow tie pasta. So farfalle with smoked trout or salmon. Usually if I can find kind of a smoked trout that's seasoned, like peppered smoked trout, get that. Usually they'll come in like little 4-ounce containers or 4-ounce bits. So I'll get 2 of those, sugar snap peas, salt and pepper, and that's pretty much it. It's super simple. Olive oil, salt and pepper, smoked trout, sugar snap peas, and it's a really, really great dish. It's something that's super easy to make, but it's really nice. And it's pretty I don't know, it's not something that's made all that common, so it's all that often. It's nice. Sorry. Jeff Davis, thanks for hanging out, man. Ooh, Johnny boy. Still have snow on the ground. Johnny, where are you? Chris Paparaki. 5 Teep. This is going to smell like smoke for days. Yeah, most of my clothes smell like smoke, which is nice. I actually have been doing fires almost every day for the last couple weeks. It's been nice out. It's been around this temperature, a little bit warmer. So we've just been hanging out, do schoolwork in the morning with my daughter, schoolwork and classwork and work for me in the midday to afternoon, and then later afternoon kind of come out, start a fire, hang out. Then my wife comes home, hang out for a bit, drink some beers, have dinner. Honeydews, all right. Cheeseburgers with pork in them. Oh yeah, my dad said he likes the cheeseburgers. So a good friend of ours, good friend of mine, Kate, she introduced me to mixing sausage in with ground beef. So do like a 1-to-1 mixture of sausage and ground beef. Usually I get sage sausage in those kind of 1-pound packages, mix it with ground beef, and make burgers out of that. They're so good. Actually, I had them last night. Well, the sun's coming out, trying to come out. Let's see. Gary Boucher says, I found an old forged axe head, very large. Split it into 3 segments to form the shape of 1 pick, point, and hammer face, and 2 axe heads for small hatchet-style axes for splitting. That's crazy. So you took a large axe head and turned it into 3 different axes. A pick and 2 axes. That's crazy. I'd love to see pictures of that. That's really cool. Johnny Mercer got 6 inches of snow in Cheyenne on Wednesday. Whew. Smoked sausage would smell and taste yummy. Rapidly despairing. Yeah, I've seen pictures of people all across the country who are posting like morning pictures and afternoon pictures of snow that's fallen overnight, and then by the afternoon everything's melted and gone. That's this time of year. He might have been. I'm going to give this another stir. Ooh, yeah. Oh, smoky, smoky.
Said it proves the rule that smoke does follow you around the fire.
Of course it does. When you move around a fire, you create a vacuum by disturbing the air. It pulls the air in your direction, which pulls the smoke in your direction, or at least that's what I like to say. And it's a windy day, so it's also wind just moving around. kind of circling it. Like I mentioned earlier in the stream that I am on the eastern side of my house, and the wind, I kind of live in a valley here, kind of a smallish valley, and the wind comes down the valley from the west, so a predominant west wind. So the wind comes from the other side of my house. So anytime we're around the fire out here, there's a predominant wind that kind of comes across the house, but because the house is here, it swirls around. It's a little swirly back here, which it makes it nice to be able to keep it from being super windy in the fire. It doesn't blow all over the place, but it also just swirls around and kind of moves the fire and the smoke around. My fire's looking good.
Okay, woodcrafting. Knife question. I did all the steps to harden the knife, and after my quench, it's still scratching. Can I repeat the whole process again?
You can. So the question is, after did all the steps for harden knife and after my quench is still scratching. Thank you, by the way. My channel is awesome. Appreciate that. You can repeat the whole process again. What I would say first, though, is make sure that you're not just cutting into forge scale. Because if you're pulling it out of the heat and you're trying to cut it with, or trying to test it with a file, you could just be scraping into the forge scale. That'll cut off a lot, and you think like you're cutting into, you're like, oh, it's biting, but it's actually just biting into the forge scale on top. So I'd say make sure you grind the forge scale off first and then check it, and then just double check that it's not just the forge scale. But yes, you can go through the whole process again. I've had to do that before as well. Just heat it back up. I would say normalize though. So make sure when you heat up, that you heat your steel back up and let it cool down, and do that a couple of times. So that's normalizing. Heating up to critical temperature and letting it air cool. Just take it out of the forge and let it cool down. Back in the forge, heat up, cool down, heat up. That'll just get all the grain inside the steel to be back kind of calm down and even. So do your normalizing cycles again and then quench it again. If it doesn't, do it again, depending on what type of steel you're using, and depending on depending on your quench. You might need to quench in water or oil, or you might need to warm up your oil. The quench can be temperamental sometimes if you're not, depending on the steel you're using. That's why so many people like to use 1084, because it's a very forgiving steel. It quenches and hardens really easily. So there's like a larger, a wider range of temperature that you can harden it on.
Anthony's got a question. He actually comments on it.
Oh yeah, Anthony. Polidoro, let's see. Question about grinding my bevels using the angle iron for my jig. How do you set the knife on the opposite side to ensure your grinds are even on both sides? So I usually just do it by eye. So what I'll do is I will set up my blade on one side of the jig. Sometimes I'll draw around it with a Sharpie, so that way I can bring it back to that same spot. But also, then when you flip it over to grind on the other side, just make sure the bevel is, I try to keep, the edge of my knife as parallel with the edge of the angle iron as possible. But once you do one side, you flip it over to the other side, just to kind of keep it as much as parallel as possible, whatever, flat area of your edge you have. But one of the things that a lot of knife making jigs have are just little spots that you can rest your blade on. So you could, drill a few holes and tap a few spots, and then just put a screw in from the back. Just put a screw in so that way it sticks out just, 1/8 of an inch or so, and then you can rest your blade on those things. Maybe do 3 or 4 of them across your piece of angle iron. Then you can just rest your blade on that. That way you flip it over, you rest it, it actually sits like a little ledge on those threads coming through. So that's what I would suggest. I've thought about that a couple times about doing something like that, but I haven't. Again, I usually just do it by eye. I'll just put the blade on one side, kind of look at where it's sitting, how it's sitting up above the angle iron, how much of the tip is hanging off, and then when I flip it to the opposite side, I just try to match that same angle. But to get like really precise angles, especially something like your plunge line, where you want your line to be as, as even as possible. Having something set up where you can do it exactly the same every time would be easy. It would be something that would, would just make your life easier. So, yeah, maybe just if you're able to drill and tap a few little holes going across, then you can rest your blade on there. It should work well. I don't know if you guys saw, I did a little kind of scrap steel knife recently. I posted some pictures on Instagram, but when I did the bevels on that, they all turned out pretty nice, pretty even on both sides. I just kind of did it by eye. I was trying to do most of it without using a jig, just to practice my, kind of freehand grinding. But when I heat treated it, it got a really beautiful. When I quenched it, I got a little bit of a warp in the blade. So I did a heat treat, so I could, I wanted to heat treat it once just to bring that hardness down some. And then I thought about doing kind of like a jig straightening, where basically when you do your tempering cycles, you can put, some pieces of steel in and clamp your blade, opposite of the bend, to try to bend your warps out of your blade. Well, after my first tempering cycle, the warp kind of came out mostly. It was a little bit left in it, just a little bit on the tip, was just a little bit, maybe the last inch or so kind of just wandered a little bit to the side. And I'm okay with that little bit of, a little bit of a warp in my blade for something for me. Well, the thing I really liked about it is that I had when I did the tempering, I got this beautiful dark straw color on the blade and on the whole thing. And because I'm leaving it without a handle, the steel is all that beautiful kind of dark straw orange color. And I'm really happy with it. So I'm going to leave it, even though I have a little bit of a warp in it. I'm going to leave that warp in it and just leave that dark straw color. I'm thinking I might do a stone wash on that, which would be kind of cool. I don't have, like any type of stone washing machine. So what I might do is just get like a 2-liter bottle or a milk jug and fill it with some river stones and just give it just shake it and work it for a while and see if I can get like a stone washed look through that temper color. I'm not sure if that'll work or not, but I thought it'd be fun. And for a knife that's for me, for like a little shop knife, I'm more than happy to test out a few processes. So I'll keep you guys updated on that on Instagram.
Anthony says, awesome, thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. Cocinando ay. Mike Myers, ask another. How cool do you let the metal get before you reheat? It just needs to, it needs to cool down so the steel isn't changing. So when you heat your steel up to critical temperature, around 1450 degrees, you're changing the chemical composition of the steel. So it switches over, which is why when you test it with a magnet, it becomes non-magnetic, because it's gone from austenite to martensite. So when you let it cool back down, it transfers back into martensite from austenite. Becomes magnetic again, and normalizing, the whole point of that is to let that transition happen gradually and let the chemical composition of carbon and iron inside of your steel kind of even out. So my very first video, I did this kind of illustration with my hands. It's something that I learned from another video. I think it might have been a guy, what was his name? Green Pete, maybe the very first knife making video that I watched. And he said, if you think about it like a hand where you have, you have all of your carbon and your iron, it's all kind of floating around when it's heated up to that critical temperature. And they're all loose and moving around, floating around inside the composition of the steel. And they're all, like loose like fingers. As soon as you quench it in oil everything locks together. The iron and the carbon locks together. So because of that, it makes everything hard. Now, if you let it cool down slowly in a normalizing cycle, everything mixes together, carbon and iron. And then when you let it cool down slowly, everything kind of has a chance to separate, and those iron and those carbon molecules move away from each other, and they're not very hard. So by normalizing, you're kind of bringing things up to loose and letting them smooth down. Bringing up to everything loose and moving around, everything smooth down. So you get this kind of even, like, clean structure, clean pattern inside your steel. So that way everything is nice and clean and even and smoothed out. And then the last time you do it, after maybe 2 or 3 normalizing cycles, you let it lock together, but everything is nice and even, and kind of all the carbon and iron molecules are kind of evenly spread out throughout your steel, and it locks together, and it makes a really a clean interior to your steel. So that's why it's important to do those normalizing cycles so you get a really cool, clean grain structure. There's a few good videos on grain structure. I know that Outdoors 55 did a really cool video where he kind of broke apart some pieces of steel and stuff to check out how they looked inside after doing heat treating cycles and normalizing and different steels. So, I wouldn't say, you probably don't have to let it cool down all the way. You probably don't have to let it cool down all the way back to, like, touch it by hand, but I usually bring it out of the fire, bring it out of the forge, and I'll set it, up on its spine in between some, like, forged bricks or something. And I let it cool down for 5 minutes or so, basically where I can put my hand over top of it and not really feel any heat coming off of it. If you have the time to let it cool all the way down where you could actually grab it and touch it, that's fine too. I want to say I've appreciated your setup. Using Harbor Freight cheap machines was inspirational. Thanks, Johnny. I appreciate that. I mean, that's what I have. That's what I can afford, and that's what I use. And if you've been a subscriber or watched my videos for a while on the channel, you'll know that, my setup has changed over the years that we've been doing this channel. I started with just a 4x36 grinder, and then I moved to 1x30 from Harbor Freight, which was really cool, and made a huge difference in my knife making abilities. And then I got a 2x42 grinder with a 1 horsepower motor, which made a huge difference as well. And then I just recently picked up a 2x72 grinder from Housework. Well, look who it is. Hi, Dad. So my dad just stopped by, guys. He's been commenting and watching along. He's a cameraman, so he's behind the camera as well. Let's see. Making a handle for a double-sided axe. How would you wedge the head? The top has a 3x1 inch down to 2 7/8. 1 inch to the bottom. Campfire. Baked beans with smoke. Turkey is always good. Okay. So Roger Gilmer, for your double bit, you want to, I would say, how would you wedge the head? I don't know exactly. Use a big wedge. Use a wedge that fills up your entire eye on the top. Axe heads are designed to be tapered, so that way you have a taper from the top to the bottom. A lot of times they're going to be smaller eye on the bottom than the top, and the whole point of that is that way at the top of the eye, when you wedge, when you put a wedge in, it stretches out your wood and it keeps it from sliding through. So it's supposed to be bigger on the top than the bottom. Now I would say that happens 99.999% of the time. Very, very rarely will you find one that's the opposite way, but it happens sometimes. But I think usually that's just a mistake. But for a wedge, you just put a wedge in that. Usually what I'll do is I'll have a wedge that tapers just a little bit from the top to the bottom. Well, obviously it tapers the thin way, but the wide way as well, it'll taper. So that way it can go inside the eye and not stop. I'll taper it in, but the top of the wedge is nice and wide. I want that to fill up that entire gap from the full side to side on my axe head. But yeah, so let's see. The top has 3 by 1 inch down to 2 and 7/8 by 1. Yeah. So yeah, the top of your eye is narrower, which is what it should be. So, or it's less wide. So yeah, wedge it with a nice big fat wooden wedge and get it in there nice and tight. Usually what I'll do is I'll start the wedge with just a hammer to get it, I'll get some glue on it, start it with a hammer to get it moved down in maybe, 3/4 of an inch or an inch or so until I know that it's going in the way I want it. And then I'll flip my whole axe over and I'll put the wedge upside down on the ground. So that way I can hammer from above. So that way everything is hitting from down in, and it's also just like it's hammering that handle onto the head as well, onto the eye. Hey, Dad. Everybody, this is my father, Scott. He's the one who got us all, my brothers and I, all into making our own stuff and doing our own stuff. Oh, I caught 8 bass yesterday.
Woo!
Yesterday afternoon.
Nice.
So we got a little pond on the other side.
They're rolling.
Yeah. A little pond on the other side of our house. My dad stopped by and did a little fishing in it. He caught 16 in like 25 minutes. So my daughter and I went over in the afternoon, and I was using a KVD, just bringing it across that deep section, and caught 8 bass, all like maybe between, I would say, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 inches, something like that. Woo, baby. Everything's blowing away with the wind. See you, girl. All right. Thought my fire was going to blow away there for a second. I think we're good. All right. This stuff burning well. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's see. Yeah.
Hang out until we
Yeah, right. All right, guys. So see you later. It's been fun. Hopefully you can imagine what this is going to look like. So we were just talking about we're still going. Let's see how we're looking. Oh, yeah. He's bubbling away well now. I'll bring you guys over so you can see this. It's looking really good. We're probably close to being done now, I'd say within the next 5 minutes or so. As long as the chicken is done, I know that the sweet potatoes are done. We checked that. There we go, look at that. It's bubbling away really well. Oh yeah. Chicken looks good. And that chicken stock, or that vegetable stock, was enough. We didn't need to add any more water, which is good. Get lots of flavor from that vegetable stock. Let's see. Big chunks of chicken. Let's test this. It looks pretty good. It looks like it needs a little bit more time, but that's good. All right. Got a couple more chunks of wood that we can toss onto the fire to keep that going. Need a little bit more time, but like I said, maybe just a few more minutes. Put that lid on and we'll be good to go. All right. Judith Wright says I need to make tools for my fire. I did make a tool for my fire. It's right here. I cut a stick, I sharpen it to a little bit of a point, and it works perfect. And I made this tripod. I know what you mean. That would be fun to do some like fire tools, some fire tools. Do you use an X wedge? I normally don't. I usually will try to just do a regular wedge for most of my axes. Get them as tight and as secure as possible with just wood. And then if they become loose at some point, my basement is not the driest place, so different times of the year it's drier or wetter. So unfortunately, my heads will come loose occasionally. So then I'll use a little metal wedge, or I just recently did a couple cross wedges with wood. So kind of split the wood and do a cross wedge. I did one cross wedge and actually split my handle, which I wasn't super happy with. So I don't know about that. Let's see. Loving the 2x72 you picked up. What size motor do you think is appropriate for that setup? Are they easy to find? I found my 1 horsepower motor I have for the 2x72. Now I would say you probably you don't want to go anywhere between or below a 1 horse. I mean, I've given like all the pressure I can give on the grinder belts. And nothing's slowed down or anything for my grinder. So, I mean, I think 1 horsepower is great, but I think most people and most grinder build videos and directions and things usually will suggest anywhere between like a 1.5 to 2.5 or 3 horsepower. I guess a little bit more power is better. As what's his name? Tim Taylor would say. More power. Oh, sun, so nice. Which whetstone do you use? I do not use. I have an Arkansas stone that I use to do some like whetstone sharpening. I'm not really a whetstone sharpening guy. I usually do almost all of my sharpening with the grinder. So I'll sharpen down to, higher grit belts. And then I have an old belt that I flip over, and I do some polishing compound on that, and I use that to strop. And those make, razor sharp knives. So I usually do all my grinding on belts. Brian McGuire, you drill a hole a little larger in the width of the kerf at the bottom of the kerf, and it will stop the handle from splitting. Yes, I agree you can do that, but you can't do that if you're doing your cross wedge later. So if you're doing your cross wedge, as a way to tighten up your heads, then obviously your head's already set. So I just kind of cut a kerf into my head and just used my chisel to just open up the crack a little bit and then put in a thin wedge. But yes, doing any type of like cross wedge right off the bat, I would do that. Yeah, drill a hole. He's saying, so if you're going to do a cross wedge, you drill a hole at the bottom of your kerf. So you cut your kerf, which is the line where you're going to put your wedge. You drill a hole that's a little bit bigger, and that'll let your wood expand without cracking, because you're not having a straight, right into your grain. If you have a straight cut into your grain and try to split that, it'll crack the handle. And you'll see that a lot with people doing kind of like wedged woodworking. So anytime you're doing like putting a wedge into woodworking, any type of like, doing like a mortise and tenon joint where you want to do a wedge tenon to keep the tenons in, you'll see that people will drill a small hole at the bottom of the kerf. So when they put in the wedge, it won't split the wood, which is very good. Excuse me. John Claris, we're still here, buddy. Still hanging out. We are just a few minutes away from having our finished stew. So we figured we'd all hang out until it's done. It's a long live stream, but it's a beautiful day to be outside. The sun's coming out. What's that?
What else you got to do?
Yeah, what else we're gonna do, right? Maybe I'll go out to a movie. Maybe I'll go to a restaurant. Oh wait, maybe I won't. All right, let me text my wife and let her know that the stew's almost done. Maybe she can put the pumpernickel loaf into the oven. Pumpernickel.
Brian McGuire says, how many acres do you live on?
How many acres do I live on? So this property that I'm on here is 10 acres. We are on the edge of a golf course, and then we are on, our neighbor has 10 acres. And then the woods behind us, there's houses up on the hill and neighborhoods and stuff up there. But so the little kind of plot of land that's part of the plot that I rent, I think is like 3 acres, but it's on this property that's 10 acres. My landlady doesn't actually live on the property. So even though this barn up here behind me, the one behind this giant bush, is actually a beautiful old stone barn that she and her husband redid. They did the entire inside with all this great like beautiful wood post and beam structure inside, and it's all open and big glass windows that face back and forward to be a very kind of minimalist, beautiful art building. They had intentions to move out here and live out here full time, but they never really did. And her husband passed away a couple years ago, and so we have this whole beautiful 10-acre property pretty much to ourselves. Like I said, our neighbor has 10 acres right next to us, and the golf course is here in the woods. So, we're surrounded by acres of nothing much, just our property. It's really nice.
Bar says, just tuned in, what's for dinner?
I am making a chicken stew. It has chicken, sweet potatoes and regular potatoes, onions and carrots and mushrooms. And it's cooked in vegetable stock. Everything's in there. We're probably just a couple minutes away from everything being finished and ready to eat. And grab a couple more little chunks of wood to throw on the fire to keep it going just long enough. I have some small chunks over here. These are actually all chips from splitting wood, but they work just as well as everything else for the fire. All right, let's toss them on. Let's split that in half. Booyah! All right. What would you charge to make a knife sheath for a Schrade SCH-38? I would not charge anything because I don't really do commissions like that. Most of the stuff that I make is usually made as gifts or made for like family friends or, smaller commissions for people. My kind of goal as a maker is to make things and, make content. And with my full-time job as a teacher and making these videos, my free time is used to do either things for my own hobby, which are some knife making and some axe making and woodworking, and then spend time with my family. So, the time that I have left over after, working a full-time job and making this channel, I usually want to, I want to spend that time doing stuff that I kind of want to do. Brian House, who become pretty good friends with, through his channel, he just did a video talking about he's had a lot of success with his Revolution grinder, but he doesn't really want to be a grinder builder. He doesn't want to spend all day in the shop just making grinders for people. He enjoys making it. He enjoys designing things and putting out that information for people to do their own thing. And I'm kind of in the same boat where I really like making things, but I don't have the free time to do a lot of commissions. So, yeah. Once I have like you know, several 100,000 subscribers and I'm making enough money to be able to do the channel without having to work a full-time job, then maybe I'll do some then I'll do some more commission type stuff. All right, let's see. Ooh, baby. Come on, wind. All right, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Sun's out. Beautiful day. It's been kind of nice. There's been a lot of YouTube content creators and just makers out there that have been doing a lot of live streams, which I really enjoy the live streams. I try to do my best to kind of let you guys know when I'm going to do these live streams so you can catch them. And over the last couple weeks, we've been saying like I'll be doing my live stream at 1 o'clock or 10 o'clock, and we end up doing about a half an hour or so after. That's just getting like audio and stuff set up. That's why today I said we'd be doing our live stream around noon, which was like 12:25 or so when we got started. So it was nice to give people some heads up. I try to post on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, the community page. So I just put some stuff up so it'll pop up on your feed, let you know when I'll be doing my live streams so you guys can tune in. But it's been really beautiful. It's been really inspiring and encouraging. So many people are doing so much like live stuff and just chatting with people and having, building the community where, previously I think a lot of what I saw was mostly content creators, making the content and doing things edited down, which is what we do. You usually take something that takes us hours and hours to do and edit it down to give you something that you would enjoy. But I think there's something really nice and personal about doing a live stream, be able to hang out with people and chat. John Claris. Go for a run. Come on, man. Got better things to do than go for a run. Family and friends are the greatest reward. Yeah. USMC E5. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, USMC, I do leather because I think it's important to, obviously to protect your blade and protect yourself from something and, protect my things. I like to do leather for myself, but leather work is not my favorite thing to do in the world. As you can see, there are many, many steps and processes that happen in leatherwork from my recent video. So next big project series you have in mind? Well, we just finished a pretty large project for a collaboration between myself and Outdoors 55. We'll see when that video comes out.
I think you say what it is. What's the basic idea?
Yeah. So we did, I took a machete and changed it into a sword. So the idea was that we would both have the same machete and we'd both create swords, short swords from the machetes that we could exchange at the end, test out and exchange. So I made one for him. We just finished it up. I know he's been working on his. We're both obviously in this situation where there are a lot of other things that have to take priority in our lives. So during this time, I know it's taking us both longer than we originally expected, but hopefully we'll both be able to finish that up soon and get that video out to you guys. But yeah, so we'll have to look for the next bigger project. I want to do a project that's a thank you for Brian House for his, generous gift of the grinder to me. So that'll be coming up soon as well, making something for him. John Claris, looking forward to picking up carpentry once he gets my property. Yes. Make the move this year. All right. Brian McGuire. Let's see what we got. So really appreciate everybody tuning in and, all of our new subscribers. If you guys are new to the channel, thank you so much for joining and subscribing. It's been really cool watching our channel grow over the last, couple years. I would say the beginning of last year, so about maybe was it beginning of last year, beginning of 2 years ago, 2000, maybe the beginning of 2018, 2019. We just kind of decided that we really wanted to put some time and effort, more time and effort into the channel. And so we started spending more time, doing several days a week working on it, and putting a lot of effort into the channel. And it's really turned out, and it's really turned out well. It's benefited us. Once we started doing that, we really see the growth of the channel a lot. And, that's all to you guys watching and subscribing and liking and commenting and being a part of this community. That's what YouTube likes. YouTube likes people who comment and people who subscribe and people who thumbs up. And the more you build that community, the more they'll push our channel and put us out there for other people. A lot of people who find our channel, a lot of people who watch the channel are through suggested videos. So that's all part of, YouTube's algorithm for, how much traffic you get on your channel, how much people enjoy your channel, and, how things turn out. So, you guys are the reason why we've grown so well. So we really appreciate it to all of our, old time subscribers and the new subscribers and people who join the party. And it's been fun. Any painting in the future? Yes, the collaboration was with Tom. We did do painting. We'll probably do more painting. That was fun. I really enjoyed it. It was nice. It's been a while since I've done landscape painting. If more people watch the video, we'll really do more painting. But it hasn't been the most popular video we've done.
Think about hiking trips in painting.
Oh yeah, we're thinking about maybe doing kind of like a hiking and painting trip. So do a little hike and hike up to like a bluff or a lookout and do a painting. So it might be a combination, which would be fun. Johnny Mercer, thank you. Oh my goodness, I'm sitting right in the smoke. Johnny Mercer said he likes the he liked the painting video. It wasn't not really his thing, but it does round out the idea of the art of craftsmanship. Yes, that was the whole point, right? That art and craft can be one thing. I agree. All right, let's see. Did she ever comment? I don't think my wife ever texted me back. Stew is almost ready. So we have 4 bowls. We won't use the bowl from the chicken, obviously. But 5 bowls from all the other ingredients. Those can be used for the stew. Check on that. Bring a ladle too. So we're gonna get a ladle. We'll check this out. Let's see how we're doing. Got some bread coming. Let's see. Oh yeah, she's boiling away. Oh, that's looking really good. Oh, it smells super good. Close that up. She what? Forgot? Even after I texted her?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Bryn was on.
Ah.
But she'd pop one in. Or at least a slice, or take a slice out and put the bread in.
All right.
We don't need the bread.
Yeah. Now we can. So what are we up to, guys? What kind of stews are you going? John Claris, this is a carrots, mushrooms, onions, sweet potato and regular potato, and chicken stew. And vegetable broth. Thank you, Johnny. We got a lot of people watching. Hi from New Zealand, Phil Weber. Thanks for checking in, man. Nice. What time is it in New Zealand? Man, that's like...
Early morning.
Yeah, is it...
Late night, early morning.
Is it 12 hours difference? New Zealand, I feel like, is all the way around the other side of the world. Love to see you make a skinning knife. Skinning knife. Yeah, I could do a skinning knife. The skinning knife is just because it's going to be something that has a lot of belly to it. Something that's not super pointy. The skinning knife, you want to be able to just skin it without puncturing the skin or punching the organs. 7 o'clock in the morning in New Zealand. All right. Let's put some chicken in the slow cooker. Gonna do pulled chicken mojo. Chicken mojo. Is mojo like
Dominican.
yeah, is it mojo is garlic? Maybe? Mojo. Strong cord 1, nice setup, thank you. Cuban. Mojo is Cuban. Alright. Come on, fire. Keep on going. It's plenty warm enough. The stew is boiling away, so I'm not worried about it being warm enough. I just want to keep the fire going so we can have a little bit of fire ambiance while we're eating our stew. I have some bigger pieces of wood over here. Maybe I'll throw a couple on to get things going. So my daughter and I made a, there we go, made a lean-to in the woods about a year and a half or so ago. And most of it fell down because the main support piece eventually broke and fell down, which we knew it would. So we were out in the woods building our human-sized spider web tree fort recently. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that. And from that, I grabbed a couple big pieces of wood, which is what these are, to bring over for the fire. Wait. Let's see. That works well. So this stuff is pretty dry. It's been kind of up off the ground for a while. That's why I knew it would be easy to kind of break up. Ooh, ouch. We'll leave that one over here. All right, let's see. Smaller pieces across the middle. There we go. Let's bring this up just a little bit. Beer. Oh, a beer. Good thing I already drank it. And bring this back up. This. Nice thing about a tripod is very maneuverable. You can kind of just adjust your legs, move things around. Works really well. The stew is done, so now we're just building the fire back up a little bit and waiting for a couple pieces of bread, which are cooking inside, ready to come out. So I'm just building back up the fire with some wood so we can hang out and have some lunch. Enjoy the stew that we've been working so hard on and that you guys all get to watch us enjoy. All right, yeah.
We're getting on 2 hours, 40 minutes.
Woo! A long live stream. All right, so let's grab. Oh, hey. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, beer down. Hunt for the Wilder People, set in New Zealand. I'll have to check that out. Sounds cool. New Zealand has gorgeous scenery. It's super versatile. They filmed all the Lord of the Rings movies there, and just the different landscape, all the different areas of Middle Earth. Really nice. There we go. All right, let's see. See, you want to go and ask, see if they want to come outside, bring a ladle out. All right, guys, well, we are almost there. This stew is done cooking. We're getting on 3 hours, which is a long time, but you know, we built the fire and kind of took our time, did everything. And you know, usually, like I said, sometimes you can cook this a lot quicker if you keep the heat right on it and keep it boiling a lot more. You know, I've done this a couple times in the recent past, and I would say maybe took about an hour those other times. But you know, it's nice to take some time and, you know, make something like this. Spend the time outside. It's a nice day, nice time to be out. All right. Got our ladle. Any bread?
That's why I didn't put it in the oven until kind of late, so
Okay.
it's still warming up.
All right.
I mean, unless you just want to slice.
Nah, that's all right.
Slice it.
We'll need some spoons.
Oh, I just said that.
Sorry. Thanks, honey. Bringing us some spoons out. All right, let's see. We got 47 people watching. Those of you who are still tuned in, I appreciate it. It's been fun hanging out, building a fire, making our stew. This is a little pine ladle. This is the very first spoon that I ever carved. This will work really well. Actually watched one of my favorite movies / documentaries of all time, Alone in the Wilderness, with Dick Proenneke up in Alaska. He carves out a spoon from a big log, and I saw that and got inspired and went straight out to the woods, cut down a piece of pine, and made this ladle. We've used it ever since. It works well. All right. All right, ready for some lunch. Let's see. Let's bring this up the rest of the way. There we go. And open this up.
Check for tenderness.
Oh yeah, everything is ready and done.
He ends up carving a spoon for someone that trades him goods. Says John about loan the watering.
Right. Oh yeah. He carved a spoon for his the wife of a friend of his who would come out and fly out in a bush plane and drop, you know, supplies off and stuff. So his wife had made him some socks and things for Christmas, and so he made her a spoon as well. All right, chicken, vegetables, get some stock in there. All right, one for Nicole.
Thank you.
You're welcome. One for me.
Girl, no, for you, baby. I know it smells good. It smells good, doesn't it? It smells good.
Oh, there we go. A little more broth. Ooh, hot. All right,
Get your nose off of there. Go on. Right here.
And one for Devin. Yep. Ow, hot. Fire.
Jeez.
Fire. There's a fire. Ouch. Woo. There we go. It just burned up to my hands. All right. Alrighty. With that, let's put the lid back on. go. That's good. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fun. Let's test it out. A little bit of everything. A little mushroom. I love mushrooms. Emily Jones.
Hi, Emma.
Like the Emily Jones. It is the Emily Jones. Hi, Emily Jones. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Emily is a good friend of ours.
Can't wait to meet your new little one.
Woohoo! This is so good. Like, sweet potatoes add that little bit of sweetness that, I forget who was mentioned, somebody mentioned about putting some like brown sugar in there. The sweet potatoes and the carrots add that sweetness in, but you still have the savoriness of the stew with the seasoning and the vegetable stock. The chicken is nice and tender. Everything is cooked well. It's good.
Really good.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. It has been fun. It looks delish. It is delish. All right. We really appreciate everybody joining us today. It's been fun. We're going to eat our lunch now. And this afternoon, we're going to work on another video. We're just going to keep on working and putting stuff out for you guys. So thanks so much for joining. And, you know, we'll try to do live streams. I'd like to maybe do one at least once a week or something like that. So we'll put some posts up and let you know when they're going to happen. And we'll see you guys on the next live stream. Thanks again.